What makes a supercar unforgettable? Is it the raw power, the sleek design, or the way it made history on the racetrack? The 1970s were a golden era for supercars, with machines that not only redefined performance, but also became icons of culture. Were these 1970s supercars ahead of their time, or just a flash in the pan? Stick around as we dive into the 8 supercars from the 1970s that shaped the future of performance. Imagine cruising down the road in a car that looks like it's from the future. That's exactly what the Triumph TR7 was all about. When it launched in 1975, it turned heads with its bold, wedge-shaped design. Dubbed the shape of things to come, this sleek coupe was designed by Horace Mann, and its futuristic look set it apart from the other cars of its time. The TR7 was Triumph's attempt to keep up with the American demand for sports cars, but with a twist. For the first time, the iconic TR line wasn't offered as a convertible, only a fixed-roof coupe, because of safety concerns in the US, which made it unique in the market. But by 1979, Triumph gave in and offered a convertible version, just as the demand for open-roof driving began to roar again. Under the hood, the TR7 wasn't a monster, but it had enough power to excite. With a 2-liter, 105-horsepower engine, it could go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just about 10 seconds. It wasn't the fastest, but it was all about the driving experience, especially when paired with that rear-wheel drive and smooth handling. In the late 1960s, Maserati, freshly backed by Citroën, was stepping up to the plate. The competition was fierce. Lamborghini had already launched the Miura, Ferrari was developing their mid-engine beast, and Maserati had something up their sleeve too. Then came the Bora. Developed under the codename Tipo 117, this car hit the streets in 1969, and by 1971, it had stunned the Geneva Salon crowd. The Bora wasn't just fast, it was a masterpiece of Italian design and engineering. With its sleek, low-slung body and choice of a 4.7-liter or 4.9-liter V8 engine, it boasted a smooth yet thrilling ride. At 320 horsepower, combined with Maserati's renowned handling, it made it a dream for anyone who loved speed. Even though the Bora met its end in 1978, it left a memorable mark on the sports car world. Now, let's talk about Pantera. This car was born from a collaboration between Di Tommaso and Ford. Ford, eager to challenge Chevrolet's Corvette dominance, saw the potential in Di Tommaso's sleek Italian design. What came next was pure magic. Designed by Tom Giarda, the Pantera combined Italian flair with American muscle, powered by a Ford V8 engine that roared to life the second you hit the pedal. The Pantera made its big debut in 1970, and the reception was that the Corvette suddenly didn't look so tough anymore. The Pantera could have stolen the spotlight from the Corvette if things had gone differently. But by 1973, the oil crisis hit, and Ford, facing new emissions regulations, had to back away from the Pantera. Still, the car's legacy lived on for decades, with over 6,000 units sold in the US alone. Despite its challenges, the Pantera remains a cult classic, a true icon for those who love a blend of Italian artistry and American power. This car was born to win, and it sure did. 3 World Rally Championships in a row from 1974 to 1976. Lancia had one goal in mind: build a car that could conquer rallies. And with the Stratus, they nailed it. It debuted at the 1971 Turin Motor Show, and people were blown away by its futuristic design, created by Bertoni Studios. The name was Stratus Zero, fitting for a car that looked like it was from another planet. But underneath that wide body was a Ferrari Dino engine, though without the Ferrari badge. And to make it FIA homologated, Fiat built 500 of these beasts. Those pop-up headlights weren't just for show. They improved aerodynamics, which is everything in rally racing. Now let's talk about performance. The Stratus packed a 2.4-liter V6, putting out 190 horsepower, which in a car weighing just 1,984 pounds was pure adrenaline. It went from 0 to 60 in under 7 seconds. Sandro Munari, Lancia's star driver, tore through dirt tracks in this thing. You can bet he had a blast driving it. Lancia even designed the interior around him. Now let's shift gears to the 1976 Lotus Esprit, arguably one of the most iconic sports cars of its time. If you're a James Bond fan, you'll probably recognize this car from The Spy Who Loved Me. This was the one that turned into a submarine. But even off the screen, the Esprit had serious style. Designed by Giugiaro, its sharp, folded paper look made heads turn everywhere. Beneath that sleek design was a backbone chassis, typical of Lotus, and it packed a 2-liter engine with 160 horsepower. But it wasn't just about speed. The Esprit had flair, especially with those tartan seats. In 1980, Lotus introduced the Esprit Turbo, which took things up a notch. With a turbocharged 2.2-liter engine, the car now had 210 horsepower and could hit 150 miles per hour. That's the kind of speed that puts you in the supercar league. The Esprit wasn't just a car for gearheads, it became a pop culture icon, especially after its second Bond appearance in For Your Eyes Only. With its sharp lines and blistering performance, it stayed in production all the way until 2003, making it one of the longest-running models in Lotus history. The Ferrari 365 GT4 Berlinetta Boxer marked a major turning point in Ferrari's design and engineering philosophy. The Berlinetta Boxer, or BB, was Ferrari's first car with a mid-mounted engine, moving away from the front-engine layout that had defined its V12 Berlinetta models for decades. The shift was a direct response to competitors like the Lamborghini Miura and Countach, which had captured the attention of high-performance car buyers. Ferrari needed a mid-engine car to keep up, and so the Boxer was born. At the heart of the 365 GT4 was a 4.4-liter flat 12 engine, which was mounted behind the driver for optimal balance. With 344 horsepower, the Boxer could sprint from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 5.4 seconds, a staggering figure for its time. It was a car built to dominate on the track, yet it was also street-ready, offering smooth handling and exhilarating performance. Road and Track declared it the fastest road car they had tested in 1975, reaching a top speed of 175 miles per hour. However, the Boxer wasn't without its quirks. At the limit, it had a reputation for being unpredictable. Backing off the throttle mid-turn could cause the tail to snap out, a trait reminiscent of the early Porsche 911. The 365 GT4 is considered the purest of the Berlinetta Boxers and remains a highly sought-after collector's car, partly because only 387 units were produced. With its distinctive triple rear lights and exhaust pipes, it was as eye-catching as it was fast. The Boxer was a major leap forward for Ferrari, blending elegance with race-bred performance. The Porsche 911 Turbo, also known as the 930, is often seen as the definitive 911, setting the standard for all future 911 Turbo models. Its development stemmed from Porsche's racing program and the need to comply with Group 4 homologation rules, which required 400 road cars to be built. This led to the creation of Project 930, which combined Porsche's 3-liter RSR engine with a turbocharger. The result was 260 horsepower, a top speed of 155 miles per hour, and an unmistakable turbo lag that made driving the 930 both thrilling and demanding. Released in March 1975, the 930 Turbo was a game changer. It offered brutal acceleration, exhilarating performance, and a distinctive raw driving experience. One of the standout features was its wide stance, with flared fenders to accommodate wider tires, essential for handling the extra power from the turbocharger. It became the peak of Porsche's engineering and design, a true sports car that resonated with enthusiasts around the world. Despite its power, the 930 wasn't perfect. Early owners reported some reliability issues, like the infamous white smoke from the exhaust, but that didn't detract from its legendary status. Restored examples like the one described here show how well loved the 930 is within the Porsche community. The early 930s are especially sought after as they represent the beginning of Porsche's foray into turbocharged performance cars. The BMW M1 was BMW's first foray into creating a truly race-bred machine. Born from the desire to compete in Group 4 racing, the M1 was built with a unique center-mounted engine, a feature that made it one of the most exciting cars of its time. And guess what? It wasn't just BMW that made it happen. They teamed up with Lamborghini to meet production deadlines, which adds a cool Italian twist to its story. Produced between 1978 and 1981, only 453 M1s were ever made, making it an incredibly rare and highly sought-after collector's car. With a 3.5-liter six-cylinder engine that pumped out 277 horsepower, the M1 wasn't just fast, it had that kind of handling that racers dream about. Imagine driving a car that not only looked stunning, but also handled like it was made for the track. And speaking of track, the M1 became a racing legend. But the BMW M1 wasn't just a race car. It left its mark on pop culture too. The BMW M1 homage concept celebrated the M1's 30th birthday.
Engineering and production
BMW
work
might
for them.
never make a
But
modern
Lamborghini
version.
went bust.